We begin today at the Mishnah on Daf Nun Aleph from the base, 2 lines from the bottom of the page. Zok the Heilige Mishnah, Hanoider min hacholov, a person makes a neder not to have anah from milk. Mutter bekum. He's still mutter to have anah from the whey, which is the liquid that separates from the milk when you make cheese. But Rabbi Yosi Eiser, Rabbi Yosi says that no, milk includes also this whey that comes from the milk. It's included. Gemara will explain what the basis of Rabbi Yosi's opinion is. If a person makes a neder in the reverse, that he's not going to have anah from the whey, mutter b'chalav, he's allowed to have anah from milk. Abishal says, a person makes a neder not to have anah from cheese. Is not allowed to have anah from the cheese, bein melucha or tefela, whether it's salted cheese, whether it's unsalted cheese, even though cheese usually is salted. That if it's, so you may think that because he said hagvina, it means what's usually the way cheese is usually made, but nevertheless he's also from any kind of cheese, including cheese that's not salted. A person makes a neder not to have anah from basar, from meat. So then mutter bereitiv, he's allowed to have anah from the gravy of the meat. Or bekipa is when you cook meat or when you roast meat, so you have these little pieces from the basar that falls off of it, sediments of the meat. So you're mutter with that. Basar does not include reitiv and kipa. Rabbi Yehuda Eiser, and Rabbi Yehuda says that you're not allowed to have anah from the reitiv and the kipa as well, because when you said basar, it does include the gravy and the kipa, the pieces of the meat that come off. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, so Rabbi Yehuda said, there was a story once happened, and regarding such a case, and v'asar aleinu Rab Tarfon beitzim. Rab Tarfon said that even eggs, shenis bashlu imay, even the eggs that were cooked together with the meat are also asar. So Rabbi Yehuda says, from here you see that when you asar the meat, so you're going to asar any taste or anything that anything else that gets the taste from the meat. If you have the gravy and you have the kippah, so this is coming from the meat. So because you asar the meat, so therefore the reitiv and the kippah is asar, and even eggs that you cook together with the meat will also be asar. We're talking about eggs that will cook together with the meat. So because the eggs will cook together with the meat, so therefore it gets the tam from the meat that goes into the eggs, and therefore it all becomes asar. Amrullah, so the Chachamim responded to Rabbi Yehuda and said, Kain adava, you're right that Rab Tarfon asred, even the eggs that are there cooked together with the meat that you made asr, but it depends though what he said. Emasai, when did Rab Tarfon say that it would be asr? Bizman yoimar, or the other girsa here is Bizman sha'omar, if he said in the lashon of his neder as follows, Basar ze alai, this piece of basar should be asr to me. Right, so in other words, before we were talking about a person that says that he makes a neder not to eat basar. He didn't say basar zeh. He didn't say this piece of basar. He just said, chlal, I will not eat basar. So on that, the Chachamim say, if you said you're not going to eat basar, that means actual basar itself, but not the gravy of it, not eggs that will cook together with it. That's not included in your neder b'chlal. But if you're making a neder, not regarding not eating basar b'chlal, you could eat any basar you want. This piece of basar here, you asad and you, that it should become asar. So then, that not only that piece of basar, but anything that comes out of the basar, that anything else that's cooked with it or gets the taste of this basar will be asar. Shahanaydim and adavar. If you make a neder and it's from a specific item, it's not just from the existence of basar b'chlal, any basar, but you're making a neder from one specific basar, then v'nis arev ba'acher, and this mixes with other things, if there's a taste of the basar that goes into other things and you can feel the taste, what's the rule of nice and tam? This is always right, like the halacha that it says in Hilchas Taruvis, that something which is batel b'shishim, if there's 60 times against the iser, so then that you can't feel the taste and therefore it's going to be mutter to eat it. But if you don't have 60 times against it, so then you can feel the taste of the davar ha'asr, and therefore it's asr. So just like regarding anything that's asr, that there's the rule of if it mixes and there's a nice and tam that it will be asr. Now that you with this neder made this piece of basar asr, like an item of isr, so the tam of it that goes into anything else will become asr. So asr. So therefore, and that's the case when Rab Tarfon said that the beitzim that are cooked together with the basar becomes asr. Person makes a neder not to drink wine. Mutter betafshel sheyesh bo tam yain. So that means you're still allowed to eat something else that's cooked and has in it the taste of wine. You mixed wine together with something that was cooked in it because wine means wine. That's what the lashon of the neder wine means. You're not allowed to drink any wine. But something that's cooked together with the wine, that's not part of your neder. But Omar Kainim Yayin Zeh, if the person says that he's asking specifically this wine, so he's not asking wine b'chlal. He's asking this item, this wine becomes a dava also for him. So that Shani Toyim goes together, or Shani Toyim, that I will not taste from it. V'nofal tafshel, and this wine fell into a pot of food. Im yeshbay b'noisen tam, if it fell into the food and it gives a taste to the food, and again, usually that means that you don't have 60 times as much against that wine that fell in, hareze aser. So then it'll be aser to eat. Right? Before you turn the page, you can't turn the page so fast. We have so little to learn today, and we have such a massive Ran over here. There's something a little bit from what the Ran says over here. Okay, so the Ran over here asks the famous question that all the Rishonim speak about, that how could this Mishnah B'chlal speak about the concept of bittul b'roiv, that if there's no taste, so then it becomes bottle. There's a rule that we learned about this also on Gemara Masechta Beya and different places, that a davar sheyesh lo matirin, when you talk about something which is aser, but it's not going to be aser forever, it can have a heter to it, you can be matir it, it doesn't become bottle even if it falls into something which has 1,000 times against it. There's never a bittul. Right, so over here, when it comes to a neder, you make this piece of basa aser, or this yayin aser, but it's something which is yeshlei matirin. You could be matir the neder. Not only you could be matir the neder, as we'll learn later, you're supposed to be matir the neder. And the Gemara later in the Masechta clearly says that this is in the category of a davar yeshlei matirin. So why does it say over here that it could become bottle as long as there's no tam, like the halacha of bittul b'chlal, if it's a davar yeshlei matirin? So the Ran, there's a few different pirushim the Ran says. First, the Ran says that the reason is because over here we're talking about amin b'she'ena minay, that we're talking about the meat with eggs. It's two different minim. If the only time when we say that it's something that it's a davar sheshlei matirin, that it does not become bottle, is when it's two things that are from the same type. But over here we're talking about eggs and basar and meat, which is min b'she'ena minay. So over here in such a case, even if it's a davar sheyesh lo matirin, as long as it doesn't give a taste, it's going to be bottle. That's the first pshat that the Ran says.
What's the matirin haTorah?
The haTorah saneda, correct. But then the Ran brings from the Rif and other Rishonim that disagree with this, that they hold that the concept of davar sheyesh lo matirin will not be bottle even if it's a min b'she'ena minay. So he doesn't accept that answer. And therefore the Ran himself has a big arichis. This is a very famous Ran. And the Ran basically says that the reason why davar sheyesh lo matirin is usually not going to become bottle is because a davar sheyesh lo matirin is actually considered to be min b'minay. B'chlal, the Ram brings that it's a machlokes between the Rabbanon and Rabbi Yehuda whether the whole entire concept of bittul b'roiv applies to a min b'minay. Rabbi Yehuda says when you have two things that are the same min, it doesn't become bottle. He says the whole idea, min means the same type. That's what min means. So when you have two things that are the same type, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it doesn't become bottle. The idea of bittul means when you have two different items that are different from each other. And because one is more, the majority, so it overpowers the other. Right? But if you have two that are the same min, so you can't ever say that one is going to be mevatel the other. Adarabah, they're sort of machazik one another. They connect, they activate one another. One can't be mevatel the other. That's the basis of the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda that says that b'chlal amin b'minay is not batel. Rabbanan don't disagree, and Rabbanan said that even a min b'minay will be mevatel. The heter, which is more, 60 times more, could be mevatel the iser. Why? So the Ran explains, because every time you have heter and iser, even if it is the same min, but the very fact that the din of this and this, of these two things, are different. This is something which is mutter, and this is something which is aser. So the koyach ha-heter of this item is going to overpower the other item which is aser. So therefore the Rabbanan say, even min b'minay, there will be a concept of bittul. Okay, but that's all if you have two minim, where one is clearly an item of heter, and the other one is clearly only an item of iser. So the item of heter will be mevatel the item of iser. What if it's a davar sheyesh lo matirin? Meaning that even the item of iser itself has a heter to it as well. So now the Rabbanan will agree that the item of heter and the item of iser are not two different things. They're considered to be min b'mina because even the iser has a heter to it. So it's the same min as the heter, and therefore it will not be bottle. That's the concept behind davar sheyesh lo matirin. So therefore the Ran says that only applies to a case at least according to the opinion of the Rif that he's trying to explain there, that only applies to a case, something that presently has a heter. You have something, he brings there b'negeh to aid of tchumen, where it's also to take it to this direction, but it's mutter to take it to another direction. It has to be something that presently has an element of heter to it. And therefore, this usher item is the same min as the heter item, because it presently has an element of heter. So therefore, the one cannot be mevatel the other. But over here, when we're talking about the basar and the beitzim, the basar which is completely usher right now, and the eggs which is completely mutter, this basar, in the future, you can go and be mevatlet, but right now it's completely usher. So therefore, the heter and the isser is two different minim, and they will be mevatel each other. And therefore, the Mishnah says, if it doesn't have the taste, if it's batel b'shishim, it will be batel. That's the chiddush of the Ran and the pshat of this Mishnah here. It's a very famous Ran. This idea that davar sheyesh lo matirin means that it's like the same min. That's his point. That, and when, if it's the same min, so there the concept of bittul beroiv does not apply. Okay, let's see the Gemara. The Gemara goes back to the beginning of the Mishnah, where it brought the opinion of Rabbi Yosi. Rabbi Yosi says that if you make a neder not to drink milk, that includes also the whey, the liquid that separates from the milk. On this, the Gemara asks, I'll ask you a contradiction from a later Mishnah where it says, Mino adashim. Person makes a neder not to eat lentils. So, aser ba'shishim. He's also aser to eat ashishim, which are lentils that were fried with honey or different kinds of things. Not plain lentils, but lentils that are fried with other ingredients. Because that's also considered to be lentils. Rabbi Yosi mater. However, Rabbi Yosi says that when you take these lentils and you fry them with honey or whatever other ingredients, so then that's allowed, because it's not included in the lashon of adashim. So we have a very clear question over here. When it comes to the lentils, Rabbi Yosi says, even if you actually have lentils itself, but the fact that it was fried together with something else, it'll already be mutter. And over here, when it comes to the milk, when you're asering the milk and you separate the whey from the milk, and it will still be aser. So how could that be? So the Gemara answer is loy kashya. There's no contradiction here. Right, so the point that the Gemara is going to explain here is, in the question, the Gemara thought that chalav, the chalav automatically includes the whey of the milk as well. Not because of the lashon that the person said, but because the whey is part of the milk. So it includes the whey as well. So therefore the Gemara is asking the question. So for sure you should say so by the lentils that were fried with other ingredients. But now the Gemara says it's not because of the lashon itself that includes it, but it actually, it's the way people speak. What is the intention of the words that the person is saying in his neder? As we had before already, the rule is you go by the language, the way people speak. So therefore, like Kasha, there's no contradiction in Rabbi Yosi's opinion. Marki asrei or marki asrei. The master, one is saying his opinion according to the way the custom of people speaking was in his place, and the other one is saying it according to the custom of the people in their place. Ba'asr the Rabbanan, in the place where the Rabbanan were, karu l'chalba, chalba, milk was referred to as milk, or kuma, kuma, and the way that liquid that separates from the milk, they refer to that with the term kuma. Different word, so therefore does not include the whey. But Ba'asir the Rabbi Yosi, in the place that Rabbi Yosi was, Lukuma nami karule kuma de chalba. The kuma, this way, would also be referred to as the kuma, this liquid of the milk. So therefore, when you asa milk upon yourself, it includes this way as well. And it's not so when it comes to the adashim. It's a simple pshat of the Gemara here. When it comes to the lentils, when people say lentils, they're not including this lentils that were fried together with honey. That's a different thing. So since that's not included in the lashon of the way people speak, so over there Rabbi Yosi would say that it would be mutter. Tanya, we learned in the Braisa. It says more details about this halach here, similar to what it said in the Mishnah. You made a neder not to drink milk, mutter b'kom, you can drink the whey. Minakom, your neder was not to drink from the kom, mutter b'chalav, you're allowed to drink the milk. Minachalav, your neder was not to drink milk, mutter b'gvina, you're allowed to eat cheese. Minagvina, not to eat cheese, mutter b'chalav, you're allowed to drink milk. Minareitev, your neder was not to eat the gravy of the meat, mutter b'kippah, you're allowed to eat kippah, which are those sediments of the meat that fall off when you cook or roast. Minakippah, your neder was not to eat from this kippah, mutter b'reitev, you're allowed to eat the gravy. Im Amar basar zeh alai, if you said that this basar, specifically this piece of basar should be asa to me, so then asa boy, you're not allowed to eat this piece of basar, ubereitvei ubekippoi, and also not the gravy or the sediments that fall off from the meat, because you're not asering basar b'chlal, you're asering this piece of basar. So that's anything of this basar. Hanaydim min hayayin, person makes a neder not to drink wine, mutter b'tafshul sheyesh betam yayin, you're allowed to eat food that has the taste of wine in it. That's not included in the lashon of yayin. Ama kainim yayin zeh she'eni tayim. If you said that I'm asering this wine, this becomes an item of isser for me. So then v'nafel otecha tafshel. This wine fell into cooked food. Im yesh betam yayin arei ze aser. So if it has the taste of wine, you don't have 60 times against it to be mevatlit, so then it'll be aser. Zok teilige mishneh hanoide min ha'anovim. Person made a neder not to eat grapes. Mutter b'yayin. He's allowed to drink wine. Min hazeisim. Person made a neder not to eat olives. Mutter b'shemen. He's allowed to eat or to drink oil. Okay, I don't know if you can't exactly drink oil. We learned about this, but akopanim, he's mutter with the oil. Amar kainim zeisim va'anovim elu she'eni toyim. If the person says his neder, the language of his neder was, these olives or these grapes I will not taste. So then, asa behen u'b'yaitze mehen. Then he's asa not only to eat the olives or the grapes, but also the wine or the oil that comes out of it. Okay, so the Gemara now we're here will explain what's the pshat in this lashon that the Mishnah just said. Right, so if you look here at the lashon the Mishnah said, it says zeisim vanovim elu. He added the word elu in the neder, and besides that, he also said she'eni toyim, that I will not taste. Right. So what is the focus of here? Which one of these lushaynus is the reason why not only the olives and grapes itself become asa, but the wine and the oil as well? So Rami Bacham asked the question, Elu dafke? Is it because he added the word elu, these grapes and these olives? That's what makes not only the grapes and olives itself asa, but also what comes out of it? Oy she'eni tayim dafke. Or is it the fact that he added the word she'eni tayim, that I will not taste, meaning even the wine or the oil has the taste from the grape or olive. That's the main focus here of why it becomes aser. And the Gemara explains, Isal k'daitach elu dafke. If you're going to say that it's really the word elu, that's the reason why it becomes completely aser, even the wine and the oil. So she'eni tayim lamali. So why does the Mishnah add the words she'eni tayim, that I will not taste? So according to this, here's the chiddush of the Mishnah. The Amma she'eni tayim, even though he said she'eni tayim, I will not taste from this at all, nevertheless, he won't be asa in the wine or the oil, the Amma elu mitzer. Only if he said elu, this olives and this grapes, then it'll become asa to the wine and the oil as well. If he did not add the word elu, then he will only be asa with the olives and grapes themselves, not the wine or the oil. So that's the shaila. What's the main focus over here that asers the wine and the oil? Amar Rave, so Rave says, Toshima, here, come, I'll bring you a raya from a Mishnah later. We had this already quoted before as well. So the Mishnah says, Kainim peiris ha'elu alai. I aser these fruits upon myself. So he said the word elu. Or he says, Kainim hein. They, no, it's similar to the word elu. He says, Kainim hein lefi, that these peiris should be aser to my mouth. So then the Mishnah says, Aser b'chilufeyen u'b'giduleyen. He'll be aser not only to eat these fruits themselves, but even other fruits that were exchanged with these fruits, and also with the giduleyen, when if he plants the seeds of these fruits and it grows other fruits, he'll also be aser. That's what the Mishnah says there. So the Mishnah there is focusing on a similar thing that we said in our Mishnah. Elu, he said these, and what does it say? What is he going to be aser with? What he exchanged and what will grow. Says the Gemara, so what do you see from here? Ha b'yaitze mehen, but it's mashma here, the juices that would come out of these fruits, mutter. Even if he said the term elu, he will still be mutter. So from this we could learn out that in our Mishnah, when it says that you aser with the wine or the oil, it's not the word elu that makes it aser. It's because he added the word she'eni toyim. So the Gemara answers, no, that's not the pshat there. There's no raya from there. Hu adin dafil b'yaitze men aser. Really, when he uses the term elu, so that will aser him not only from the fruit itself, but from the juices that comes out as well. And but for ha adifale lashminon. This Mishnah wants to tell you an even bigger chiddush. The chilufeyen kigiduleyen dami. That even if it's not the fruits themselves at all, and not even the juice of the fruits, but you're exchanging these fruits with other fruits, that the chilufim exchanging will be equivalent to the growth of these fruits when you planted it. So this Mishnah wanted to say a bigger chiddush, but for sure when you say the word elu, it will include even the juices or the oil or the wine that comes out of it. So there's no raya from there. But the Gemara now brings the seifa of that very Mishnah. Tashema, that the seifa that Mishnah says, but what's if the lashon of his neder was she'eni oichel v'she'eni tayim, I will not eat and I will not taste. So then mutter b'chilufeyen or b'giduleyen. So because he didn't use the term elu, So therefore, he will be mutter to eat the exchange of these fruits or what grows from these fruits, because he doesn't say the word elu. So, but what do you see from this? It says that in such a case, he said she'eni toyim, he's not going to taste from it, so he's mutter to eat the exchange or the growth of it. But but it's mashma from this. How about the juices or the wine or anything else that comes out of it? Aser, he will be aser. Why will it be aser? So seemingly the reason is because he used the term she'eni eichel she'eni toyim. So you see over here that this causes that what comes out of it should be aser, even without saying the word elu. So the Gemara again says there's no raya from there. Really, what comes out of it will be mutter as well, because he didn't say the word elu. But why does the Mishnah not say it clearly? Because Aidi, the Nasiv, Bereisha, Yaitze Mehen, because in the Reisha it did not mention clearly the case of Yaitze Mehen, the juices that come out of it. Why not? Because in the Reisha it wanted to say a bigger chiddush, that even the exchange and even the growth is aser. So let us nami b'seifa Yaitze Mehen. So he doesn't mention the halacha in the seifa of Yaitze Mehen that'll be mutter for those that come out of it, because it didn't mention it in the Reisha. So it's saying it in the same way. But really the halacha will be the same, that because he didn't say elu, he will be mutter to eat the juices that come out from it. Okay, so the Ran over here, other Rishonim discuss that even though the Gemara answers the question from this Braisa, or from this Mishnah really, it's a Mishnah later, but nevertheless, you do see over here in the Mishnah that the distinction the Mishnah is making when it talks about a person that makes a neder from peiros, whether this will asa you from the growth or the exchange of those peiros, the Mishnah there is clearly saying that the difference is whether he uses the term elu or not. When you use the term elu, these fruits, it includes more. It includes even the chilufim and the gidulim. When you don't use the word elu, it does not include that. So why is the Gemara having a suffix over here regarding the juices that come out, the wine or the oil, whether it's dependent on the word elu, or maybe it's not dependent on the word elu, it's dependent on the word eni tayim. We see there clearly that the point is the word elu. That's the Ran's question. But the Ran says the Gemara doesn't consider that to be a raya, because when it comes to chilufin and gidulim, it's clear to the Gemara that yes, the word elu is what determines whether it includes the exchanges or the growth from the peiros. But when it comes to the juices, the Gemara is not so sure about that. Maybe the juices are different. Maybe the juices is not based on the word elu, but rather on the word toyim, that I'm not going to even have any taste of it, which means even the taste of the juices that come out of it. That's the point that Ran says. There's other Rishonim that say differently, but that's how the Ran learns this Gemara. Let's go weiter. Toshama, the Gemara now brings another raya from what we just learned before in the Mishnah. Amr Rabbi Yehuda, the Mishnah there said, when a person made the neder not to eat from the basar, so Rabbi Yehuda said that includes even the gravy of the meat as well. And Rabbi Yehuda said, Maise, v'asar Rav Tarfon alai, beitzim shenes bashli imay, that Rav Tarfon didn't allow to eat eggs that were cooked together with meat, when he made a neder not to eat meat. So you see that even the gravy should also be asr if he asked the beitzim as well. Now that we learned, the Mishnah said, Amru Lai, the Chachamim responded and said, that Eimesai, when is this true? Bizman shama basa zeh olai. If he says this piece of basa should be asr to me. Sha'neidim and adava, v'nis aref ba'acher. If you're making a neder from a specific piece of basa, and then that's mixed with something else, v'yesh by b'noisen tam, and it gives a taste and that's something else, then areze asr. Then it's going to make that other thing aser. So what do you see over here in this Mishnah? Clearly this Mishnah says that when you add the word zeh, this piece of basar, so because it's this item of basar that's becoming aser, so the gravy that comes out of the basar is going to be aser as well. And therefore we should say the same thing when it comes to the fruits. When you say the word elu, these grapes or these olives should be aser, it should aser also the tam, which is the wine that comes out of it, or the oil that comes out of it as well. So the Gemara Taka says, you're right. From that Mishnah, we could answer part of our question. So be'elu loikami bayalan. If he clearly says that he's answering these olives, these grapes, that's not a question. The dafkahu, that language of the Mishnah Taka means specifically that if he said that, it'll answer the wine and the oil that comes out. Kikami bayalan. However, the question still remains: b'she'eni tayim dafka or lav dafka. What if he did not use the word elu, but he said, "I will not taste"? When the Mishnah used the term taste, does the Mishnah mean to say, even if he did not say elu, but he says, I will not taste, maybe taste means not only the olives and grapes themselves, but even the oil and the wine that you taste that comes out of it as well? That still remains a question. So that the Gemara tries to bring a raya. Toshamal, bring you a raya from a Mishnah also that we learned before. If a person says his neder is dogim she'eni tayim, I will not eat fish, and he said the double lashon, which includes large fish and small fish, but he said she'eni tayim, I will not taste. Right? So what does that Mishnah there say? Asa ben, he's not allowed to eat fish, ben gedolim, ben ktanim, large fish, small fish, ben chayim, ben muvushalim, whether raw fish, whether cooked fish. But the Mishnah says, umute betaris trufa, he's allowed to eat this fish of taris, that is, that's like sliced up, cut up pieces, ubitzir, and also the brine of the fish he's allowed. So what do we see over there? Even though we use the lashon she'eni toyim, which means I will not taste, nevertheless it says that the juice or the brine that comes out of the fish is still going to be mutter. Okay, so we see over here a clear eye that she'eni toyim does not asa the brine. But Rava says it's not a raya. Over there it's talking about the brine of the fish that already had come out of the fish before you made the neder. It wasn't part of the fish yet. But the question is, if you have grapes and olives in front of you that were not pressed yet, and you made the isser, I will not taste these olives and grapes, and then you press out the wine or the oil, maybe then it will include that oil or wine that comes out, because that's what she'eni tayyim means. That's what the Gemara doesn't resolve this part of the question.